Reddit by Planet Reddit. What is the worst thing to happen to you during sex? I once passed out mid-climax. I didn't eat that day and I just collapsed on her. She thought I straight up died on her. Wasn't too serious but was definitely not fun. I actually know someone who was with a man who died during sex. He was an older fellow and I guess his heart couldn't handle it. It ucked her up for a long time. That's fucking terrifying. I was eating her out when she began to climax. She had her thighs on my shoulders with her legs up. She began squeezing my neck really hard. Not wanting to ruin her orgasm, I kept going until I passed out from her choking me out like that. She thought she killed me. I was only out for like a minute but to her it was like 5. Well, at least that's not the worst way to go. Death by snoo snoo. While having car sex, had a very nice elderly woman pull over to make sure we were okay. So she did join. Missed opportunities. She said, "You're so good at this." Followed that up with "much better than Travis and Matt." Who the fuck are Travis and Matt? Edit. Thank you to the kind stranger for the award and an honest thanks to you all for making me laugh so hard over a story I try not to think about often. Also, I'm ashamed I never made the crit roll connection. I am Travis and Matt. Gasp. I was banging my girl. Her dog jammed his snout in my crack and started licking my hair. Closest I ever got to a threesome. Post said worst, not best. I was having the sex with this one girl. I was on top of her missionary. Room pitch black. I feel her reach down and start to fondle my testicles. I tell her to keep doing that. She asks me doing what? We realize her blind old dog was licking my nuts. The guy had a sudden pain. One side of his N and groin turned black and blue. Had to go to the ER. Thought I broke his N. It was a blood clot that moved there due to what was going on. The erection. Do not take Eliquis if you're not healthy enough for sexual intercourse. Now I understand. Shit, that's actually really scary. Was he alright? I bought some fancy, organic lube to try with my boyfriend at the time. We get down to business and my V starts stinging a little bit, then a lot, then full on burning. We quickly stop and he says that his bits are feeling a little tingly but not the level I'm on. I grab the lube bottle and take a better look at it. Just says normal, organic, unscented lube. I spend 5 minutes looking all over this damn bottle before I find the problem in the very last listed ingredient. Menthol. My V continued to burn for the next hour. No. Dear God, why? Same thing happened when my fiance and I tried those fucking fire and ice condoms. Except we were both in pretty significant pain afterwards. I have no idea why they still make those. Who buys them? Right before he finished, he pulled out and, instead of coming, he peed all over me. Complete accident. We were both incredibly alarmed, but I went straight into damage control mode and calmly cleaned up and comforted him because I'm sure it had to be completely humiliating to accidentally pee on your partner. Later when I was alone, I'll let myself be grossed out and feel sorry for myself. LOL. Edit. Yes, it absolutely can happen. It's just rather uncommon and more of a special circumstance. Apparently it feels really weird. I wouldn't know because I do not have a D. It's really nothing to be ashamed of. It's just very unfortunate. Sometimes our bodies do gross things and there's little we can do about it except be kind and forgive ourselves and others. God bless you for how you handled that. I peed through a boner once. Was the strangest sensation. I was legit passed out. Found out later from some witnesses that this strong woman I knew had found me passed out in the front yard after a bar crawl. This was not uncommon for me in college. She picked me up like a baby. I'm 6'4", 200, and carried me up to my room, 2nd floor, and had her way with me. I woke up peeing through my boner while she was riding me. Pee came out super hard. Extremely awkward afterwards. Mainly because she was kind of raping me. I didn't feel bad about the peeing. Can confirm that it is a really strange sensation. It brought me back to consciousness after an intense blackout. She was the center for the university's basketball team. Worst for me physically. Pulling both hamstrings. First one, then the other while compensating. Worst for me mentally. My GF's mom walking in on us. 3 times now. Bonus afterward when I heard her gossiping with a friend about it over the phone. Might just want to let THRGF's mom know ahead of time so she can find a seat before everything starts up. Such a shame. It was one of her kinks to be watched. Would make Thanksgiving even more entertaining this year. Her little ucking rat dog of a chihuahua snuck in the room while we're ucking and attacked me. You have no idea how fast a man can move when there is a set of tiny evil teeth coming at your junk. Did your junk live to tell the tale? I think it burned up from how fast he was moving. Started farting uncontrollably, in rhythm to my thrusts. Thank God they were dry. My boyfriend let loose with a loud fart during some fancy moves. I knew he was a keeper when we both just died laughing. We've been married a decade now. I guess he just resonated with you. She was sitting on my face, and I rolled my head back right when she came down. My front tooth pierced her about 2 centimeters away from her clitoris. By her urethra. She moaned and drew away for a second, then jumped up to the bathroom. I looked down and saw a significant pool of blood on my chest. I remember the sound of an ear piercing, like rapid fire puncturing, but with my tooth. Jesus Christ. Username checks out. Had my cervix hammered at the wrong angle and bruised it. I almost went to the ER but suffered through after some Dr. Google made me feel like I wasn't going to die. For once, I bled a little but the pain lasted days. For sure was waddling to walk for the first day. Guys never believe it, but too big of a D is totally a problem. Yup, one bad angle and everybody's upset. It's been 12 years and I'm still not used to his size. Proof that VS don't wear out. LOL. Not me but a friend of mine blew a brain aneurysm. Dude, that has always been an extremely specific fear of mine. Archer? Someone came in my throat and it came out of my nose. I hate this. Take my upvote. Someone. It was someone. Guy I lost my virginity invited me over. We were both in high school. I apparently wasn't over my period yet so got blood on his D and he got so mad he kicked me out. I had no car. So his best friend ended up picking me up and driving me home and apologized on his behalf. What an sorry you experienced that. Hell the yuck no, that's so freaking mean. I met a chick on Tinder and this was the only time I met up with anybody on Tinder. It was a weird situation where we were both horny and agreed to fuck in a public area. So we get into a bathroom and start going to town and as I'm stroking I just see my schmeat getting covered in blood. I pull out and tell her we got to stop because if this was private I'd be down but I can't walk out looking like I just murdered someone. She was super embarrassed but I comforted her and we just walked around and talked for like 3 hours. Broke my pinky as I was shifting my position during missionary. My girlfriend, white now, and I both heard it crack but I was so into it that I finished. Went to the washroom, reset the finger and never even went to the hospital. It healed on its own but there's still a bit of a crook to the right. We still laugh about it to this day. Did you not feel any pain from it? Not really and didn't lose my erection either. The pain came after coming. LOL. D-bag XBF thought he was a sex god cause he was slightly above average size wise. Well I was not turned on. No lube plus him just trying to get it into my vag. I'm bleeding and telling him to stop. He does. Then just says I'm going to go finish in the bathroom without asking if I'm okay or what's going on. We were exes not long after that. Edit. Thanks everyone for the support. For those who've been commenting that it was rape. No. It was not. I willfully, stupidly maybe, consented to sex with her behind a hat and it did not go as planned. Not going as planned happens all the time. However, there was nothing about the situation that made my consent invalid. Key thing next. When I knew something was wrong and I said stop, he stopped. Consent was revoked and the sexual encounter involving both of us stopped. His response and actions to go finish himself off in the bathroom instead of ask what's wrong, if he could help, etc. shows he's a real self-centered pose and why we quickly were not dating after that. What a cunt. You are definitely better off without a person like that. Had a one night stand that started and ended terribly. His kisses were like sandpaper. He finger-banged violently and without commitment, and then complained about how dry I was. I was at my wit's end but recommended that he go down on me to moisten things up, and was hoping he would be good at something. Instead he told me that he doesn't do that shit, laid me back down and poured a bottle of water on my crotch, seriously thinking that's what was going to help. We were both pretty drunk, but I think I may have taken this guy's virginity looking back. I told him I had to pee, kicked my clothes into the other room and snuck out. Please sex gods, never again. The only thing I got from this was a funny story and, reluctantly, a wet crotch. What is with the violent finger banging? I had a guy who was basically unpunching me for like half an hour. I had freaking bruises the next day. I hate that I can commiserate with you on this. People who don't know how to sex using what they learn from fake asso. It's quite sad, mostly for our VS and buttholes I suppose. I was getting a hand job from my girl, now ex, and NGL I just fell asleep. I was really tired from the night before, and the hand job wasn't that good either. She noticed when I started snoring. I remember my BF and I rented a house for a weekend with some of his buddies. We were super drunk and went to bed and started sexy time. He fell asleep mid-sex. I then got up, got dressed and went outside to keep drinking with the guys. One of his drunk friends is like begging me to let him sleep in the room with us so he doesn't have to sleep on the floor. Drunk me was like, yeah, okay. So then we go to sleep. I climb in on my BF's left side and the friend on the right. No big deal. But the next day my boyfriend was like, WTF, you left me there with my D out and then invited my friend to sleep next to me. Haha, still cracks me up thinking about it. They're hella close and we all laughed about it. Though we were so drunk that night no one knew but my BF. I had an ex who liked for me to finger her behind while I ate her out. One time while doing so I could feel the turds actually working their way out. I quickly stopped. That sounded like a shitty situation. Join our community Discord, link in description. Used to have kind of that troll around sex where you drastically change positions and just going at it. We were on the floor and we somehow tipped this heavy behind lamp over and a metal part hit her square in the lip. Busted it pretty decently. We worked at the same place and her excuses for it were terrible. That's all I remember. I'll throw this in. Edit. Also same girl, going at it. Take her pants off in the pitch black and just chuck them across the room. Hear this unbelievably loud sound of shattered glass. Seduck it. Kept going at it. Found out in the morning it was my roommate's bong. In a million pieces. He just said after I told him, hey, if you're gonna break it, that's the way to do it. At least he was a mad lad about it. I mean, how can you get mad at that? We ended up splitting a cheaper bong to replace it and he bought some designer or later that he always wanted anyway. Edit. He was a super chill guy. Yeah, his first reaction was, damn, no bong rip this morning, I gotta go get a wrap, but he thought it was more funny than anything. Once, when I was about 17, my BF and I had his house to ourselves and didn't expect his parents to be back anytime soon. Cue sexy time. It was the summer in AZ, and even with AC, things could get a little steamy, so we're going at it. Missionary, completely naked in his bed, in the middle of sexy time. You guessed it, his parents came home. No big. Since they already knew we were boinking, so we just continued our mission. Then I remembered that he didn't lock his bedroom door. I reminded him, but he didn't care because his family is typically respectful of his privacy. Apparently they didn't realize we were home. We quieted down when they got home, and like mid-thrust, the bedroom door opens. My BF stops, but is hovering over my naked body, with his D still inside me. His stepdad takes one step into the room and puts don't BF's shoes, stands up, looks to his left, right at us in mid-coitus, naked as the day we were born, and says, oh, I'm sorry, backs out of the room and shuts the door. Needless to say, we didn't finish after that. I sat on the bed for a good 20 minutes building up the courage to face them. They totally acted like nothing happened. It helped that they were a couple of old hippies who were nudist. Still embarrassing though. My GF and I were doing the dirty in her bedroom one afternoon when her mom took a shortcut through the bedroom with a load of laundry. We were mostly covered up, but there was no mistaking what was going on. Her mom stops and chats a bit with her daughter while I am still inside her. I just froze in place while they conversed, looking down at GF's beautiful blushing breasts. Then mom leaves and pulls the door closed. I finished. Very odd experience. Halfway through breakup sex, ended on decent terms. There was one thrust way too hard and I got sharp pain. yelped out in pain and we paused for a second but went back a little gentler. At the end I stood up and my entire torso was sore and sharp pain at the same time. I waited about 30 minutes, sobbing on the floor before I let him take me to the ER. 3 hours and a CT scan later, turns out he yucked me so hard that he burst a cyst on my ovary. TF is breakup sex. We're about to both be single again. This is the last chance to get some sex for a while. Let's make the best of it. I'd never have believed it possible given my slew of exes who just keep cheating on me. But I had a great casual relationship once and after she told me she didn't want to keep seeing me. After dinner one night, I was just like, so, I'll just drop you at your place? And she was like, that seems like a waste of an evening. Why don't you stay over and drop me off on campus tomorrow? In fact, thinking back, that's the only relationship that has ever ended on good terms for me. Depressing. One time during sex a cat decided he needed pets and laid on my chest and stared at my husband. The other wanted attention too, lol. It didn't happen to me. I did it to them. I was on vacation and met a guy I got along with really well. We wound up back at his place. While we were in the middle of things I got a really bad leg cramp, so I started saying oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and he thought I was having an orgasm and kept going. I accidentally kicked him in the face trying to get my legs out from under him. Sorry Sam. Oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, it feels good, right? Please get off. I'm trying to. I was 19 and my BF went a little too deep and I was hit with blinding pain. Wound up on the floor crying for 30 minutes before we went to the hospital. Turns out I had a bad appendix and it was about to burst. The worst part though was the doctor laughed during the exam and asked if we figured it out during sex. Cue me being embarrassed and confused. Finally asked him how he knew it. He said, you have a hickey on each behind cheek. Dead giveaway. With everything going on, I'd forgotten. That's a very professional doctor, for sure. Tore my frenulum. The old banjo string. Someone lost a lip ring eating me out once. He must have unscrewed the ball with his tongue. We found the ring but not the ball. To this day I pray it was in the carpet. Another time during a threesome I had arranged with a married couple, the man left mid-sex and didn't return, and so I kinda slowed down with his wife. She was cuddling and chilling with me for a while before I eventually asked if she was gonna go check on him. Then she said we made an arrangement that if one of us leaves the room the other one has to follow. It was basically their safe word signal as they'd never had a threesome before. And she told me this after I had been alone with her for probably like 10 minutes. I never saw them again, but I was very uncomfortable with the bad communication and I hope they worked things out after that. Maybe even with some counseling. YTF would she not leave with him? I think she was enjoying the situation far more than he was, and with weed and alcohol involved judgment was maybe a bit lax. Was on top and went to kiss him as he was coming up and cracked my nose on his big behind forehead. It made a pop and I was so sure it broke, but ended up only being sore for days. He picked on me making Owen Wilson jokes for like 2 days after because I kept freaking out about if it was crooked or not. After I nutted in her, I sat down. She put her V in my face, and I said, guess I am eating my own cum. She laughed for a straight 10 minutes. WTF, I actually laughed at that. She started shaking and hyperventilating, mumbling the name XXXX over and over. Had no idea what was happening, I just cradled her. Apparently that was her best friend's name that raped her years ago and we were getting so rough she had a PTSD flashback. We went out for a walk after and ordered pizza. Seriously, I can't stress how awesome you are for this. As someone who has had flashbacks due to a similar experience, a lot of people aren't as understanding and get really offended. I'm not him. How could you think I would do something like that? And it's impossible to explain it to them. You being there for her and being cool about it probably means the world. FCK. This is my worst nightmare. Can I just say your response was awesome? I have PTSD that originated from a car accident. If my body makes sudden movements I have the worst flashbacks. My BF knows obviously. Thank God he always notifies me when he wants to maneuver me or flip me over or something. We were in the middle of it when we both got hit with horrible stomach aches. I was in the middle of asking him to stop when he abruptly bolted toward the only bathroom. Apparently, Something we had eaten earlier that day was less than fresh, and due to circumstances of the position we were in, I didn't get to the toilet first and had to wait in the fetal position until it became vacant. It was not a good time. Bonus story. I learned that I was allergic to latex in the worst possible way. Same partner. A couple of years prior to the post-explosion experience. Young love. I was super full from dinner and had some drinks in me. I puked while deep throating my now BF. Then FWB. I managed to keep it all contained and swallowed it. I know. Disgusting. Before he could notice, though, we started dating, and I brought it up a couple years down the road. He said he remembered it happening, but he didn't realize I threw up. But it made sense because he did feel a slight burning sensation. I was way mortified. Even years after the fact. I've actually thrown up on my boyfriend deeping throating, so I'm here to tell you it can get worse. I let an ex tie me up. He completely ignored my safe word and used a fork on me thinking it was funny. I bleed all over and he punctured the wall between my V and butthole. I got a really bad infection and stitches for trusting him. Wow, thanks for all the upvotes. Also, I am fine now. This happened a long time ago. Bro, thanks for the awards. But Bajarul, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but that's brutal fucking rape. OP. Your ex should be in prison until he's dead. He went to jail for beating me up. Thanks for the award. My ex-girlfriend once threw up on me while we were having sex. Apparently, she wasn't feeling well, but still wanted to have sex. But while she was on top of me, she got queasy and puked on my chest. I was so shocked I didn't know how to react and struggled to not puke myself out of reflex. She was so embarrassed and immediately got off, tossed on a robe, and ran to the bathroom. I cleaned myself off and went after her to check if she was okay. Although she felt physically better after puking, emotionally was so embarrassed, and it took me some time to convince her I still loved her and found her attractive after that. Immediately got off. Sounds like you found her new fetish. He was going to fucking town on me with some toys while eating me out. Right as I came. Super hard. Saw stars. I blasted a giant queef right in his sweet face. In my defense, he was the one cramming a bunch of air all up in there. The dog starts licking my balls. At least he didn't try humping you trying to join in on the fun. I could just see him. Oh, we're thrusting? Awesome, I love thrusting. Let's do this. One night stand. The guy was sweating a lot, more than is normal, even for sex, which already was a little off-putting. Then a drop of his sweat fell in my eye. If you want to ruin the mood and the occasion, that's how. I've also awkwardly cramped up a few times during sex in the hip and foot. Luckily my ex, a gem, was a good sport, laughed and helped me out. GF made a silly face while we were making eye contact. I lost my boner, didn't get to finish. Damn, how silly was her face. She crossed her eyes and did a little derpy smile. I once broke a guy's banjo string. Once we had finished, there was blood on both of us and neither of us knew who was bleeding until he started to feel the pain. First time getting roadhead was on Christmas Eve driving my girlfriend home. We were on the interstate and it was raining freezing rain. She started and I wasn't going to say no even though it was really dangerous. I stayed in the middle lane going 65 miles per hour slow and steady. As we approached our exit I was getting close to popping, so I decided to skip the exit and go one exit up and backtrack. As we are passing the exit, the car spins out going 180 degrees one way and 200 degrees back. I pull her off my D and she manages to get her seatbelt back on. I was able to keep us in the center lane mostly, but after the car spun back around we started to drift to the shoulder guardrail. We'd been hydroplaning a while and as we got to the shoulder the car had slowed to about 10 miles per hour and we hit a snowbank. We were both okay. I get out and check the car and there is a small crack in the bumper that I never got fixed and completely forgot about. We get back in the car and I look down and there is cum all over my shirt. Edit. I think it was more like 50 miles per hour. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.